maybe feels like they're going too hard in the warm up is slow down, control it, be more intentional with the movements during the warm up so that you're not gassing yourself out for the workout and later. And then hopefully the idea here is you're using that warm up as a true warm up, and you'll be stronger during the workout because your warm up was right. But if for people who feel like maybe their warm up is taken away from their workout, then I would say you're probably doing your warm up wrong.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Big Fitness Show, episode 54. Let me see if I can, the stretching, I'm going to stretch up like this. Let's see. Got my, right there. I usually put my leg up on the desk. That's as far as I'm stretching right now. I have an excuse though, because my spine still needs to naturally fuse. So lengthening the spine is not necessarily a good idea, but in most cases, stretching, whether dynamic, static, whatever kind of warm up, cool downs, everything in between. We're going to talk about it in episode 54, and we have probably the most flexible 6'8" guy that I know, Big Mike Burns.
You know, you say that in jest, but I am pretty flexible. And
I didn't say it. No, I didn't. I wouldn't have meant that. What are you talking about? You threw a drop kick. I saw it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, no, I've always been somebody who's been very flexible and always impressed coaches and stuff with my flexibility for my size. So, and I'm 6'5", not 6'8", but it's yeah, man, like it's something that's super important from a flexibility perspective. And I've noticed that as I'm getting older, I'm 41 now, like it's getting harder to maintain that level of flexibility. So I really have to focus on it. And we talked about it before, we're not really too much today, but last time before we recorded, about how I was wrestling and hadn't taken a lot of bumps in a while, and my body was just stiff. And so I've had to do a lot of things to fix that and to stretch and to get my mobility back. And you know, it was just kind of the idea of today's episode is talking about the importance of mobility, importance of stretching as we age. You know, I'm over 40, you're over 50. So like it's even more important for the two of us to continue to stretch and be more mobile. And I think that's a great conversation because people don't realize how important that is. I've talked to a lot of men my age and older that can't move, that are stiff and have joint issues and don't have full range of motion, all these kinds of things. And so having a conversation around the importance of that and sharing some of the things that we do to stay mobile, hopefully it can help everybody as they move forward and just to stay more agile and stay able to do the things that you want to do. Later in life.
Well, it's, I think we tend to, you and I are no different than the people probably listening and watching, that there's a confusion around when to and when not to. Not only we're going to go into the types of dynamic versus static stretching, because that's a whole Apple versus Android type of polarization comparison. But we like to lift. I still love to lift weights, even at 52. And strength training and resistance training is very, very important as you get older. So probably the first question I would think that the audience has is, how do you incorporate this into a journey where, if you're older, strength training is very, very important to have resistance training? Where would you put this in? How much of a percentage would be your stretching warm up versus your workout and then the cool down? So what do you think the percentages between, say, warm up, stretching? Let's not talk about the types. We'll get to that. Warm up, stretching, the actual workout, and then the cool down stretching and cool down aspect with the heart rate. How would you break that down in the percentage?
That's a good question. I mean, I think it varies based on the individual and based on the type of workout you're doing. You know, I think I've heard conflicting reports, obviously, like with everything in fitness, everybody has a different opinion. You know, you're going to talk to 10 different people and you could get 10 different opinions on what it is. For me, the warm up piece of a workout, I think, is really important. Now you can do that. I don't lean towards static stretching for the warm up of my workout, but I'll do like a quick little warm up. And if you're going to break it down on a percentage perspective, 5 to 10 minute warm up. If you're doing an hour long workout, 5 to 10 minute warm up, and that's kind of your focus to get your body moving, get your body loose, get you ready for the workout, prepared for the workout. And in the CrossFit world, it's a quick 5 to 10 minute workout. Then you do some warm ups, movements for strength and gymnastics holds and things like that, and things that you do to continue to warm up your body before you jump into the 10 to 20 minute conditioning workout. And so percentage wise, it's going to be, 5 to 10%, 10%, 15% of the workout will be devoted towards warm up. And then you want to have a little bit of a cool down afterwards, where maybe you can do some foam rolling or some stretching to stretch things out that might have gotten tight during the workout or whatever, just as a way to kind of help relax the muscle. Spend about 5 minutes doing that. So 5 to 10 minutes on the front, 5 to 10 minutes on the back of the workout would be how I do that most of the time. For me, when I'm doing a warm up and a cool down, it's about 5 to 10 minutes in the front, 5 to 10 minutes in the back of the workout. What about you?
Yeah. Well, not much of anything lately. I like getting on cardio. For me,
Yeah.
cardio's always been got my blood flowing, get my body loosened up from the night's sleep I had, stuff like that. I know that I should do other stretching. I've actually wanted to dedicate days to Pilates and yoga and kind of do that. But also I'm very much in a good place with a consistent progressive overload resistance training type thing. Now that I'm starting to get a little stronger again,
Mm.
I'm focusing a lot on that. So it's tough. I mean, I used to do the stuff like you're talking about, mainly those CrossFit stretches, like the world's greatest stretch of the lunge, the twist,
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of getting everything warmed up. Even I consider isometrics. I was employing a lot of isometrics before my dynamic resistance training, and I
Mm.
felt that warmed everything up as far as muscles, tendons, ligaments, especially really not putting any impact on my joints and prepping everything to work well. So for me, between cardio and isometrics, it's the way I've been doing it, just as I said in the beginning, which is no joke. I can't really lengthen my
Sure.
spine because I need to have those levels fuse.
Sure.
But I tested my mobility and it seems to be holding up. I can put my palms still on the floor, touch my
Awesome.
toes very easy, cold. But I do miss that aspect of how much better would my lifts be? How much better would the other parts, the other modalities of my workouts be if I
Mm-hmm.
really, really employed a lot of yoga, stretching,
Mm.
Pilates, range of motion type things? So I don't have a good answer. I'm literally going by feel. Like I wish I
Yeah.
could plan it out, but at
Right.
our age, above 40, above 50, you
Mm.
have to kind of adapt as you wake up day to day. So
Sure.
if there was a day where I was completely stiff, it would probably have to turn into a stretching slash yoga day, but I
Yeah.
haven't hit that point yet.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, I think that's one of the things that you're kind of you know more about it than I do when it comes to the yoga and how important that is. And I think from a stretching perspective, there's so much to be taken away from it. I've only done yoga officially, like gone to a class with my wife, and maybe a handful of times, probably less than 10 times I've done it officially. And I always felt so good after I did it, but I just don't make the time for it. So I try to hit
We're
some of
guys.
it.
We don't do it unless we have to.
Well, yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I think there is that stigma a little bit with the yoga piece. But I just feel like we did hot yoga too. So it was,
Oh,
it
it's
was, oh
great.
man, it was so good. It was sweat dripping
See, that's
because it
why
was
I wish I
hot.
had a bigger sauna. I wanted to always
Yeah.
have a bigger sauna, like the hot works places. Then
Right.
I would totally
Yeah.
I would do all my workouts actually in the sauna. My wife
Yeah.
would not like that, but doing hot yoga is, man, it's like mixing an infrared sauna with actual yoga and applying some isometrics in there. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, you
And I
got me
always felt so
excited
good.
now.
Well, I know, but and side note, real quick, hot yoga. My gym, the garage gym, for those who are listening, it's a like a 20 by 9, 20 by 10 space, and it's kind of insulated. It's not the greatest, but Jeannie keeps saying, can we get hot yoga? Can you make that a hot yoga studio?" And I'm like, it's not a bad idea. I'd have to really insulate the crap out of it, and it would cost a lot to heat it, but we could do it if we really wanted to. So maybe in the future, I'll have a hot yoga studio at our house, but there just isn't one in the town that we live in. They have regular yoga, but she likes hot yoga so much. And I'm like, well, yeah, but if you
Yeah.
do that, then all your friends are going to want to come over. We'll have 100 people at the
I,
house.
I really do think you should explore, because what you're talking about for insulation and heating it,
Yeah.
a bigger infrared sauna, as long as you can wire it, get an electrician out, because you need to wire it for a higher
Mm,
amp. You could
yeah.
you could have it as a place
Yeah. Good
for
point.
that.
Good point.
Just
Good
add
point.
up whatever the extra electric cost would be to heat the whole room as opposed to heating the sauna, and you might be on to something there. Plus, it's all enclosed and you can clean it very easily. And I don't
Yeah.
do
Good
that.
point.
I don't clean it too often. I have to do better. But man, yeah, the stretching, I think the heat element, see, that's the thing. Most people feel stiff in the
Yeah.
cold weather. Most people,
Yeah.
that's why a lot of people move to Florida, because way too many people, by the way,
Yeah.
they need to get out soon. But
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. You need to
Yeah.
leave.
You
But
should move to Illinois with me.
well,
Not
we
that
got to
that's any
talk off
better.
air about that. If they won't leave, we're going to leave. But if we did move to Illinois and we were neighbors,
Yeah.
that would be a very big deal in the cold weather, as you get to be 40, 50, 60.
Mhm.
So the yoga element in cold weather in a cold garage
Mhm.
could do more harm than good. Your body will never warm up. So heating
Sure.
that, the hot element of doing stretching, will make you so much more flexible. In my opinion, I've progressed much more in warmer climates doing my workouts, all workouts, not just
Mm.
stretching, as opposed to living in a cold one.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so to get kind of off the hot yoga, like we know how hot yoga would be great, but just yoga in general, I think is a good way to start to do stretching. And like you might be apprehensive to try yoga. I know you did some stuff, a lot of teaching with yoga in the past, but I think yoga is a great introduction to learning to control your body, learning to do different stretches. And even if you only do it for 5 or 10 minutes, there's the Apple Fitness Plus app has 5 to 10 minute yoga stretches that you can do for a cool down after your workout. And you just kind of go through some stuff and feel it. And you're not doing a full 60-minute yoga practice. You're doing just a quick, some of the movements and stuff during the cool down. I think that's a huge thing when it comes to what do you do? You spend 5 to 10 minutes at the beginning to warm up, 5 to 10 minutes at the end to cool down. Yoga is a great thing that's incorporates the dynamic and the static stretching, because I don't think it's a one or the other. I think it's all of the above, and try to find what works for you. And maybe you can tell like how yoga just kind of helps, or give some guidance when it comes to yoga, because you're more the yoga guy than I am on what to do
Well, I haven't been in many years. I haven't done it for a
there.
long time. I would just say yoga in itself, obviously, I think there's more benefits than just even lengthening the spine, lengthening the muscles, preventing injury. I want to speak about this aspect, actually, I think is even more important, can speak to more people, is the mental aspect, the stress
Mm,
relief of stretching, of holding, of breathing. You and I have talked about with our business, our brands, and the trends where everything in business is going right now with the economy and how stressful it can be. How many times have you and I just sat there and taken 10 deep breaths? Might have tried,
yeah.
but that's for me. I might, I feel like with the stress with the wrestling brand and the fitness brand and trying to make everything work, which is good stress, not bad stress, but it's still stress nonetheless.
Right.
And we talked about an episode about stress and what it can do to you chemically and kill all your fitness gains.
Yeah.
So breathing and forcing yourself to breathe within a workout, to take an inhale, hold for two, exhale, inhale
Mm,
through the nose, out through the mouth, do the throat and chest and diaphragm breathing, do all that stuff will make you live longer and have a less stressful life. So the looks and the being a lean yogi or whatever, or feeling great and having your joints not hurt, I think it's the even smaller piece than the other piece that I just
mm,
described.
yeah.
You need to be in the, you need to, we're never in the moment. We're always thinking ahead and planning and doing this. Yoga and stretching force you to be in that particular pose, that particular position, those particular breaths at that particular moment. There's no past, present, there's no past and future, only the
Yeah.
present right then and there.
Yeah.
I sound so mystical when I say it, but
But I mean, it's true. Like, and there's a lot to it. I can remember when I did those, we used to go to a yoga studio that was part of the gym, and we would do the practice. And I can remember I was not thinking about anything else while I was doing it, because being somewhat like flexible, but somewhat not as fully flexible as some of the yoga people. It was trying to hit these poses and doing it and hold my shoulders, but then hold it for a long period of time. Man, you are laser focused on what you have to do. And I could always remember at the end, to get more back to the yoga, like they would do a thing at the end where you would literally just lay there and just feel your body and breathe. And they would focus so much on the breath that it
tuck the
was,
chin, palms up in the air, that
yeah,
kind of, yeah, yep.
yeah, it was great. I really, and so I guess where this is our endorsement of trying yoga. So everybody listening, try yoga, try it once to see what you think, even if
Tons
it's,
and tons of free videos up there. Yoga with
yep.
Adrian, Fight Master Yoga, rest in peace to her. You can get, this goes along. These are free. They have
Mm,
30-day beginner series that you can just follow and then follow
mm,
the one from last year or the year before. You could literally get a free workout for however long you want. There's tons of stuff, but
yeah,
the yoga stuff is actually, you can find yoga for lower back pain, yoga for stress, yoga for sleep, all that stuff. So, stretching's great, but specifically, if you're a person that doesn't want to pay for a subscription or pay for workouts, just buy a mat or
yeah,
do it on your rug, but buy a mat would probably be smart.
yeah,
And you have free workouts at your disposal on
yeah,
YouTube.
yeah,
You'll never be
yeah.
able to do all of them.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And there's, from a strength perspective, you want to be working on strength. Yoga builds strength too, like it's not just a stretching and mobility thing. It's going to build strength and core strength and things that you need to do
Yeah.
that might help you, if you're starting out new, or if you haven't been working out very consistently, doing some yoga might be I don't want to say easier, but simpler way to get strength built up so that you can do some of those more complicated movements or do some heavier lifting, because you're learning to control your body. And, we're both big advocates of body weight control and body weight movements and things, and being able to use that as a starting point. That yoga could be a good way to help with that. Plus you're getting the added benefit of the stretching and the flexibility that comes with it.
Yeah. So let's talk about this then. I mean, I think the last thing we'll talk about is static versus dynamic
Mm,
stretching or warm ups or whatever you want to call
yeah.
them. But when it comes to the stretching part of it, I think people don't understand. They try to, like I said, I can pretty much put my hands on the floor still. I still got pretty decent
Yeah.
flexibility, but I'm not trying to slam from a standing position to try to stretch out like that.
Sure.
It's literally a game of, I won't even call it inches or centimeters. It's a game of millimeters of the
Mm,
slowest progression you can ever have, but it all adds up the more you practice with warm up, stretching, yoga, whatever you want to call it. This is the kind of stuff that you're not going to do the world's greatest stretch and do a super deep lunge and do the twist and, and then go without falling over probably every other
right.
time, if not every time. So what you need to do is just take it where you're putting your hand against the wall, doing the stretch, not doing the twist. Or if you're doing other types of yoga and stretching, do 100% modifications from beginning. Now, that was my calling card when I taught yoga. I was the
Mm,
one, because I had to work around everything with injuries.
mm,
Modifications were
yeah.
really my call to action for teaching. So I would say number one, and just like we talked about fitness, Mike, it's a lifelong journey.
Mhm.
Yoga, stretching, and having longevity and health and wellness and all that stuff is a lifelong journey. You're
Right.
not going to be completely flexible and you're not going to be completely pain free. You're going to have to work at that for years and years
Yeah.
and years.
Yeah.
That's what I would tell people.
Yeah. And I think
You
what we're
said
trying to,
practice. Practice is the best word. You were right.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think what we're trying to avoid here is, picture in your mind right now that 80, 90-year-old person that you see that's walking, that's all hunched over, that can't stand upright because they're hunchback, and they have no mobility and they walk real slow and they can't move, they can't bend down, they can't pick things up. And that's what we're trying to avoid here. If you don't want to end up like that, um, doing more now is the important thing, and keeping that full range of motion. And I think that's what it comes down to when we're talking about the importance of stretching and mobility, is having full range of motion so that you can get up and off, like get up off the floor, move your body later in life. And the more that you can focus on that now, as your body gets older and gets tighter and gets harder to move, you're giving yourself the head start. It's like with everything. We've talked about it before, making sure you get enough protein, making sure you're eating enough so you have enough muscle quality and enough muscle density right now, that the later in life, as you start to lose muscle, you're setting yourself up for better success. But with this mobility piece, it's so big because I don't, it's more often than not, people, as the older they get, the less moving they do. And the more active you can stay, the better it's going to be for your quality of life. I always go back to this example. My grandma, she just passed away this last summer, but she was 93 or 94 years old and was on the go, moving nonstop all the time, walking every day, keeping herself active. And up until she passed, like she had she passed on a Sunday. Her whole calendar for that coming week was full. Like she had a bunch of stuff going. And so like that was the kind of life that I can just point to and be like, my grandma lived her life as long as she could and had a great quality of life because she kept moving. And that's the thing that I always try to stress is when you get to the point later in life, you need to do all the work now to set yourself up for it. But it's not a one and done. It is a continual practice that you're doing every day. And the mobility piece of it is the biggest thing, or I don't want to say the biggest, but it's one of the most important things. So mobility, nutrition, strength training, those things are going to help give you a better quality of life as you get older. And strength or stretching and mobility helps get that full range of motion. You should be able to get full range of motion because the less range of motion you have, it's only going to get worse if you're not working to maintain that full range of motion. And so that's the why behind this conversation. That's the why behind doing all of this moving and things and the importance of the full range of motion, so that now in your 40s and 50s, you can keep that range of motion in your 60s, in your 70s, in your 80s, in your 90s, in your hundreds, like that's the important, why it's so important to do it now.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I do. I mean, anything like we're talking about stretching, yoga, stuff like that, but it really is anything that
Mm-hmm.
you can do that'll forward your health and fitness. You don't want to hurt yourself. Obviously, I think we can talk about that on a different episode. It's very polarizing about lifting heavy weights in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. Some people are big
Yeah.
proponents of that, and some people are like, man, I'm going to go as light as, but go the way of body weight
Sure.
calisthenics, yoga and stuff. And that's, hey, there's a lot less equipment when it comes to that. It's a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's definitely more doable. Now let's get to probably the biggest polarizing thing with this. So
Mm.
yoga is considered to be static stretching. You hold poses for breaths or minutes, or depending upon what measurement it is, you're flowing, but you're also holding with that. So there's more static poses usually, even in a vinyasa flow, you're holding certain positions. And then there's what I said earlier with the world's greatest stretch and other things that you probably do at CrossFit would be more dynamic stretching.
Mhm.
Now, do you have an opinion of which is better or which would be better in certain situations, or is one just like better than the other to you?
Uh, I I'm of the mind that they're both equally important. I think from a warm up perspective, I feel like dynamic stretching is a little better for a warm up perspective because you're not just stretching and doing stiff static, that you're not doing static movements, right? Like, so getting your body warmed up, I would tend to lean towards dynamic stretching and doing some things to get your body warmed up, whereas the static stretching would come after the workout for me for the most part, or just randomly throughout the day when you want to stretch something. If you're feeling tight, if you wake up first thing in the morning, you want to stretch something, that would be kind of the pieces where I use the static stretching. But I think from a warm up perspective, for me personally, dynamic is more important to get my body moving. But I think they're both beneficial and both of pretty equal importance.
What do you think as far as like, because I used to do, sometimes I would do yoga along with the isometrics, as far as not recently, but before, it would be either yoga or isometrics before I did my lift, or
Yep.
even yoga replacing the cardio warm up before I do my weights. But there were times where I felt like that my warm up was the workout, and it
Mm.
was too late, and I still went ahead and lifted the weights, but I felt like there was a very much a real time overtraining aspect to this. So I was like,
Mm.
do I cut back the days of the week of resistance training and then add the yoga stretching days in there, or more of the Pilates, plyo type of, different modalities without the weight? That was the trick. So there's some people that think, well, after I'm lifting, I do yoga and I feel like I'm totally more sore if I do it before. I feel like I'm not as strong with the weights.
Yeah.
That's the kind of the gray area where it comes down. Now, a simple dynamic stretch before you do anything is just going to get the whole body warmed up. But
Hmm.
people tend to be like overdoing it in the warm up phase, and then their workout completely
Mm.
suffers. Have you ever
Yeah.
felt? I felt that way a lot. There's such a sweet spot that you need to hit.
Yeah. No, I can see where that becomes an issue. And I think to really focus in on the warm up being a warm up, like uh I'm a big advocate of warming up, but treat it as the warm up. You're not going balls to the wall for your warm up. It's 5 to 10 minutes of moving your body, but going through it's almost like you're just going through the motions. You want to push it a little bit, but you're going maybe 50, 60% of the warm up as opposed to 80, 90, 100% during the workout, And so if you approach it with that mindset, instead of going all out for the warm up, it's a great way to just do the warm up, get it done effectively, and use that as a build towards the workout. I mean, that's the methodology in the CrossFit space is your warm up is uh, still you're putting energy and effort into it, right? But it's not the workout. You want to warm up the body, go through the movements, and you're focusing more on like if you're doing, let's say you were doing some lunges in the warm up, you're not putting weight on your back and doing all these lunges with a ton of weight on your back for the warm up. You're going nice and slow, controlled movements, learning body control, going through the lunges because you want to warm up the body. There's no point in jumping right into it. You need to warm up the movements, warm up the muscle, warm up the hips, warm up your legs with those lunges, and it's all under a controlled environment. So that's one thing I would say to everybody that maybe feels like they're going too hard in the warm up is slow down, control it, be more intentional with the movements during the warm up so that you're not gassing yourself out for the workout and later. And then hopefully the idea here is you're using that warm up as a true warm up and you'll be stronger during the workout because your warm up was right. But if for people who feel like maybe their warm up is taking away from their workout, then I would say you're probably doing your warm up wrong.
That would be me.
That's my
That would
first
be me.
thought.
That would be me. So
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, and we can talk about it, but I think it's just not pushing too hard in your warm up and truly treating it as a actual warm up, and then building your way into the workout is the way to go.
I'm going to tell everybody out there that they have it easy, because our wrestling careers, you still have an active one. I had an active one. The biggest thing to try to figure out, and the hardest thing to kind of like find that groove, is when you can warm up, keep yourself warmed up before your match or your segment, so you don't cool down too early or
Sure.
warm up too early or get started too late with it. Isn't that like the biggest like
Yeah.
mind F that you can? I mean, I've never in 30 years, I never felt like I was properly timing the
Sure.
warm up or the stretching or the bands, but the pump before I went out there. Cause something always like, oh, we got to switch it around. We got to do this, or
Yeah.
you're going on later, or we need you now, it's just that. So if you have a workout and you just need to plan a 5-10 minute warm up before you start working out, it's not like they're saying, oh, we're switching up your workout is switched to this afternoon now, or your
Yeah.
workouts now. You got to stop the warm up. It's just crazy wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah, you're right. And then trying to actually have a warm up when you work indie shows, their locker rooms don't usually have the space for it, and so then you're bumping into guys. You don't have room to move. You don't have room to do anything. So, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So,
But
we,
like I think it's with your warm up, it's being intentional about it. And you want to everybody wants to go in and program their workout, and they know what they're going to do for their workout. And that's one of the things that I mean, I like a lot of things about CrossFit, but one of the things is that it's an intentional warm up. Like you'll go through a warm up of maybe uh, you know 10 air squats, then just nice, slow, controlled 10 air squats, then maybe 10 push-ups, then maybe 10 down and back lunges, and then maybe some side steps and some arm circles, and just something to really target the different body parts, get your whole body warmed up. And it's very intentional about how you're doing it. So there's a workout or a warm up programmed into every workout every day. And so it's a structure of a warm up, some weightlifting, and then some gymnastic movements or vice versa, and then the conditioning workout that's the actual workout. So everybody talks about in CrossFit, it's an hour long class, but only 10 to 20, maybe 25 minutes of it is the actual workout of the day, whereas the rest of it is warming up for that workout. And I think a lot of people can take that approach. If you're doing a bodybuilding workout, do some warm-up sets, do a couple sets. Here's your working sets, warm-up sets. And there's a big difference of how you approach it, but you want to make sure that you're programming your warm-up into the workout and allowing for the time. I know it's hard sometimes because you don't have the extra time, but I feel like that's really important to maximize. Well, sorry, dude, about your ears.
there we go. We're
Just hit
together.
the microphone. But like really programming the warm up into your workout can be super beneficial to make sure you're getting the benefit of the mobility, because you'll be able to go deeper in your workouts too. If you're hitting a bench press, if you don't take the time to warm up your chest and warm up your arms, you're not going to be able to go as deep in a bench press. So you're not going to get as deep of a stretch, which isn't going to work the muscles enough as much as you want, which isn't going to give you the growth that you're looking for in the bench press and the strength gains and things like that. So it's really important to do that before the workout.
Awesome. I don't think we can give them anything more than that. I mean, it's just really these are the kind of gray areas in fitness and health fitness. And as you get to
Yeah.
be 40, 50, 60 and above, it's about adaptation. It's about trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work, and things that worked 10 years ago might not. And things that you never thought about 10 years ago now are an absolute necessity. And I feel like these are the training modalities you need to incorporate as you get older.
Yeah, and to that point, like there was something I wanted to show a book that I got a while back. It's called "Becoming a Supple Leopard." It's by Dr. Kelly Starrett. He's big in the CrossFit world, and he wrote this book. And basically, what this does is this breaks down how to help you with your mobility and how to keep your body moving. And it has illustrations of all kinds of stuff in here and what you can look at, what you can see, and how to do it. And it's a great book because the more that I'm learning about stretching and mobility, there's so many things that we didn't do 10 years ago, that we didn't know about 10 years ago, that exist now that we can use to keep ourselves mobile, to keep ourselves moving and things like that. Like, for example, this massage gun that I have, the
Oh
Hypervolt
yeah.
massage gun. These things didn't exist 5-10 years ago, and now you use them. And so like with my neck thing, the way it's been, I can use this and it digs right into my neck and helps release the muscle tension in here. So like range of motion with my shoulder, I can do so much. But if I use that massage gun, I can go in here and I can relax the muscle, and then I can release some of the tension. This book talks about different foam rolling that you can do that to help alleviate and create more range of motion in your muscles. They use these things called voodoo bands where you wrap them around and like restrict the blood flow. It's just like a big elastic band. Really, really cool for helping uh, getting the joint pain to go away and different things, and reducing inflammation and create, like, there's so much behind it that it's kind of taken the stretching and mobility to another level in what you can do. And so like if you're somebody who is a little more seasoned with the stretching and the dynamic stuff, getting a book like that, Becoming a Supple Leopard, is a good next step of learning how to fix yourself. Like I've used this book with some of the mobility issues to fix certain things that I have so that I have more range of motion in my hips, so I can open up my hips more, so then incorporate some of these things into the workout to allow for better movement. And then you get better positions in your workout. And now you've become a healthier person because the stuff that you do to maintain that. And it's become really big in the CrossFit world, where you just focus 15, 20, 30 minutes a day in addition to the workout on just mobility and just making sure that you can keep your body moving all the time, because it's super important for long-term health and wellness.
Perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a good guy when it comes to stretching and rehab and stuff like that. I've read a lot of his stuff
Yeah, I mean, it's
online.
really good. And he wrote another book too that just came out. It's called Built to Move. I got it. I actually got it for Christmas as a Christmas present, but I haven't read it yet. I need to. But it's the 10 essential habits to help you move freely and fully, and it's just simple things that you can do to keep your body moving all the time. And so, from a mobility perspective, it's just great. So
There's one workout that I want to try, and we can close off with your thoughts after this. But the animal flow. The
never
animal
heard of
flow
it.
workout. You ever see that where you crawl and you come up and it's called animal flow, I think 2.0 now. And it's something I've looked at for years. It's like bear crawls and stuff like that and things.
Interesting.
But you twist and kind of bring the leg up and push up with this. And it's all these very natural movements
Oh,
that are tough
yeah.
as anything.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
I won't be doing that anytime soon.
Like a one-handed hip thrust
Yeah.
with your arm up in the
What
air.
the heck?
Yeah.
Well, that's importance of mobility. So if you
But
want to
people
do
that do
that,
jiu-jitsu, people that do MMA and jiu-jitsu could benefit because there's a lot of movements
oh,
in there of
totally.
twisting and
Yeah.
holding but it's, there's lots of people I know that have done that animal flow workout and as just that with calisthenics and yoga, and they've gotten
Hmm.
shredded, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah. No, that looks like a cool thing. I'm not going to try it anytime soon, but yeah, you couldn't do a lot of those things if you didn't have some level of mobility first. So that's where, to put a pin in this and wrap it up, that's where the importance of mobility, why it's so big, to be able to do all the things that you want to do. Even if it just means carry your groceries in, you need some mobility to bend down and pick them up. Right. So
Yeah.
anyway,
When you're
with
having
that,
your cereal for dinner, you need to carry them. How's that?
yes, definitely. With that, everybody, thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. I hope you got some value from it. If you did, share it with somebody. Let them know. Let them know how we can, or how this episode impacted you, and what it can do to help you be more mobile. So for myself, for Big Stevie Cool, you can always email us at thebigfitnessshow@gmail.com, thebigfitnessshow@gmail.com. This has been The Big Fitness Show, episode 54, and we will see you in the next episode.
I'm going to try animal flow.